So we're going to start the test review. Test is Wednesday, Thursday. By the way, you have a class period to finish this. If the bell rings and you're not done, you have two choices. You get zeros on the question you haven't answered, or you stay in my room until it's done. And option two means you've got about 5 minutes before I can boot you out and you get a zero on the questions you haven't finished. Okay? This is a one period test, period. All right. I've said that as forcefully as I know how to say it. If the bell rings, you need to be on your last question wrapping up. Okay. Find the x-intercept of 4x minus 2y equals 9. How do I find an x-intercept? Anybody remember? This is why we do reviews. What is the value of, think about an x-intercept means it's going to touch this line, right? Somebody said it. What?
You make a graph.
You don't have to make a graph. I'm just trying to show you what is anything that touches this x-axis is our x-intercept. So what value do we always know at the x-axis, Ethan?
That the y is 0.
Y has to be 0 for the x-intercept. That's all you have to think about. You don't have to draw a picture. You don't have to really make a table. All I have to do is put a 0 in for y. So 4x minus 2 times 0 equals 9. So 4x equals 9. Divide by 4. So x equals 9/4. Is it okay that it's not a whole number? Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, it's okay that it's not a whole number. So x equals 9/4 would be the x-intercept. And you can write it, I would be okay with it like this. Or if we're writing it out, this would be another good way to write it, 9/4 comma 0. The y value is 0, the x value is 9/4. Okay, either way is fine. Find the x-intercept of this guy, 3x minus 54 equals 0. What's up with this?
You need to add 54 both sides.
Okay, just solve it. 54 to both sides. 3x equals 54. Divide by 3. So x equals 18. All right. This one's different because I can't write this one as, well, I could write this one as an ordered pair since I know it's the x-intercept at 18 comma 0. But what type of line, what does this line look like? X equals 18. You guys should know this. It's close, not straight across. It's up and down. It's a vertical line, okay?
Vertical, yeah.
It's vertical. It's not horizontal. Horizontal lines would be y equals something. This one is going to be an x equals something, so it's a vertical line. It has an undefined slope, is what that means. All right. Determine whether each equation is a linear equation, right? Yes or no? If yes, write the equation in standard form. Some of this has been a couple of weeks since we looked at. Okay, this was from our very first lesson in chapter 3 when we learned a new form or a new type of formula. What is that new form that we learned in this unit? Not slope-intercept form, but, well, those, yes, but not back then. Starts with S, ends with tandard. Standard form. Okay, so if we can write the equation in standard form, then it is a linear equation, right? What does standard form look like? Oh, come on, guys. Hasn't been that long. AX plus, oh my gosh, you guys have forgotten too much. This is going to be interesting. AX plus BY equals C. AX plus BY equals C. And there are some rules that we have to remember about A, X, A, B, and C. Okay? Anybody remember any of the rules? Oh my goodness. What's one thing, Ethan?
The
A has to be positive. Okay? A has to be positive. A can't be less than 0.
Nine.
Okay? What about C?
Can I give a math journal real quick? That way I can write down notes.
Yeah, you can do what you need to do to write down notes. Absolutely. What about C? What's a word that starts with the letter C that this has to be? Declan. C has to be a constant. All right? C has to be a constant. There can't be any variables on this side of the equation. Okay, so C has to be a constant. And what about A, B, and C? They can't share any factors greater than 1. So they have to be, it has to be a simplified equation, okay? So we have to get things, it says write the equation in standard form. There was the equation right there. That's what I was looking for a minute ago. You guys even read that. So what about this first one? Can I write this in standard form? We talked about this. What if there are fractions with the variables on bottom? This
yeah,
is,
I don't think you can simplify
that is a big fat no. That is not a linear equation. Okay?
That's what I thought.
Think about this. If it's a linear equation, it has to have either an x and a y-intercept, or it's got to have one or the other, right? It's got to have either just an x or just a y, or it's got to have both. Okay, so how would I find the x-intercept? Guys, we got a lot to do here. You got to talk more. How do I find the x-intercept? We just did it on the last screen.
You multiply both sides by x.
How do I find the x-intercept? Right here. How did I find this x-intercept?
Yeah, so in 0.
Put a 0 in for y. What happens if I put a 0 in the bottom of a fraction? That makes it an invalid equation. I can't solve that equation. That equation is broken. Okay, so then how do I find the y-intercept? Put a 0 in for x. What happens if I put a 0 in for x right here? I have a broken equation. It can't be solved. And so this equation doesn't represent anything that would have a line that has either an x or a y-intercept, and it certainly wouldn't have both an x and a y-intercept. And so this can't be a linear equation. All right? You don't have to know all that for the test. I'm just showing you why it wouldn't work. All you need to see is if there's an x and a y in the bottom, doesn't work. Not linear. Okay? I kind of spent a lot of time talking about that one. Really making sure you understood that if there was a fraction with a variable on the bottom, that it's not linear. Is that maybe a clue about something? You guys getting this one? Okay, variables on bottom? No, not linear. Okay, how about this one? Is this a linear equation?
Yes.
Okay, it's look at what form it's in. It's in y equals mx plus b. Is that a linear equation? Yeah, I mean, it's in slope-intercept form. It's got a slope, 1/3. It's got a y-intercept, 4. We just don't have it written in standard form. So now I have to get it into standard form, which means c has to be by itself. So I want 4 by itself. All right, so I need to do this, minus 1/3 x, minus 1/3 x, and then I'd have negative 1/3 x plus y equals 4. Okay, so now everything's in the right place, but is it in standard form?
No, you need to
Multiply by,
-1.
not -1, because what does a have to be? It's got to be positive, but it also has to be a whole number, right? We don't get any fractions, so we need to multiply everything by -3.
Internet's dying.
Yeah, sorry, your audio cut out there for a second, Lane. I was trying to hear what you're saying, but I saw your lips moving, but heard no sound.
You need to multiply everything by -1.
Well, we need to multiply by -3 because a can't be a fraction. We can't have fractions. We got to have whole numbers, remember?
Oh, right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to multiply by -3, which makes this a positive x minus 3y equals -12. This is standard form. It is linear. This is a linear equation. Now we've written that same equation in standard form. If we graphed both of these, if I graph this one and then graph this one, they look identical. They're the same line. We just have written it from slope-intercept into standard form. All right, how about this one?
I think that's linear.
I think it's linear too. Let's see if we can put it into standard form. Let's subtract 7y. So then I would have 3 equals 6x minus 9y. Okay, I need to rearrange some things because this is not standard form. It doesn't look like ax plus by equals c. Things aren't in the right place. So let's do 6x minus 9y equals 3. Now I've got standard form, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Divide everything
No,
by...
no.
It's
You need
not
to divide
simplified. This is not in simplest form. You guys have got to remember to simplify standard form. So we're going to divide everything by 3, and it comes out to 2x minus 3y equals 1. Okay, that is standard form because we've got everything simplified. Everybody good with that? Okay, I feel like we're blowing out some cobwebs here and thinking about things we haven't thought about in a couple of weeks. I should have been reviewing this more, but we moved on to other stuff. Okay, so let's keep going here. In 2000, 48.5% of students at a particular university graduated in 4 or fewer years of study. In 2007, that number had fallen to 36.8%. What was the rate of change per percent of students graduating within 4 years from 2000 to 2007? Key phrase here is rate of change. What's another name that we use for rate of change? Yes,
Slope.
good, Lane, slope. Okay, do we know a formula that allows us to find slope or rate of change?
I know.
What is it, Lane?
2y minus 1y under 2x minus 1x.
Okay, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, how do I know what my y's and my x's are?
We have it all up there.
Well, we do, but which one? I mean, we have a lot of numbers, but which ones are x's and which ones are y's?
The ones that are x's are the dates.
Yes, we have a rule about where time goes.
Time is x.
Time is always x, time goes on bottom, okay? And so we want time to be the x value. We want the percentages to be the y value. So we would do 48 point, well, actually let's do this. 36.8 minus 48.5, oops, not 4.5, 48.5 over 2007 minus 2000. So 36.8 minus 48.5. You will be able to use calculators, by the way. 36.8 minus 48.5 equals 11.7. 36.8, 48.5. Okay, yes. So what did I say that was? Negative 11.7 over 2007 minus 2000 would be 7. And so 11.7, negative 11.7 divided by 7 equals negative 1. Now this, I'm always on to you guys about not writing as decimals, but in this case, this is not a fraction that we can simplify in some way, right? This is just a decimal. So I would accept either negative 1.7 or negative 1.67. Either one of those would be fine. So negative 1.67 And since we're talking about percents, it would be negative 1.67%. Okay, we good? This is the main thing that you need to remember here. I'm not going to tell you this formula on the test. You need to know that formula. You should always remember slope formula at this point. Okay, let's talk some more about slope. Or no, well, graphing, I guess. You have options about graphing things. I'm okay with you. I don't know that I'm going to specify. I don't think any of the ones on the test specify about how to graph something. As long as you get it onto the graph, it's okay with me. So we have a couple of ways of doing that. You can graph by making a table. You can graph by using the X and Y intercepts. Whatever way works for you best, graph it. So how do you want to graph?
Let's graph by using like the X and Y intercept.
Okay, X and Y intercept. So I'm just going to do a simple table for X and Y intercept. To find my X intercept, I'll put a 0 in for Y. To find my Y intercept, I'll put a 0 in for X. So I only need to find two values. Okay, so let's start by putting a 0 in for Y. 2x plus 3 times 0 minus 4 equals 0. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So 2x equals 4, because that term drops out. Divide 2, so x equals 2. So my x-intercept is 2, 0. Right there. Now we'll put a 0 in for x. So 2 times 0 plus 3y minus 4 equals 0. Add 4 to both sides. So 3y equals 4. Divide by 3, so y is 4/3. So my y-intercept is 4/3. That's 1 1/3. So I can put it right there. Pretty close. Okay, so something like, I'm not going to get this perfect, but that's going to be pretty close. Okay? We good with graphing? Using y-intercepts to graph? Time. Second hour day. Oh, we got time. Oh, we're doing good. Okay, we still got 15 minutes. I felt like we were needing to rush. Okay, I can take a breath. I can take a drink of water. Choke on a drink of water. Excuse me. That was uncomfortable. Okay, number next. Graph y equals 3/4 x. What do you notice about this equation?
It's written in slope form.
It's written in slope-intercept form. What is the intercept?
And 0.
It's 0. Good. Okay, it's 0 because we could put a plus 0 on here. So any equation that goes through the origin, first of all, we can't graph it by plotting the slope or the intercepts because we've got one intercept. So I don't know where this line goes if you just give me that spot. So I've got to do something else to graph it. So how can I graph it if I know it goes to the origin now?
Write a graph.
I can make a table.
Yeah.
Do I have to make a table?
No, but
What?
you could.
I could, and it wouldn't be wrong if I did, but what is this number right here? Yeah, what does that mean though? 3/4 what? 3/4 of a pickle?
Oh, for every 1x, there will be 3y. No,
N-
for every 4x.
For every
there will be
4x, there's 3y. That's our slope, right? That's the m. You guys remember how to count slope? I know the line goes through the origin, so where do I go?
You go up 3 and right 4.
Rise over run. Thank you. Up 3 over 4. That's the slope. And Lane, you were right when you said it goes over 4 and up 3. You said it for every 4x, it goes up 3y. That's exactly what it does. It's up 3y over 4x. I can also go down 3y and left 4x. That's still a positive slope. And so super simple to graph. If you have something in slope intercept form, I don't mind you guys using just the counting the slope. Super simple. Okay. What type of equation is this when it goes through the origin? All equations that go through the origin are this type of equation. Huh? Well, linear, yes, but starts with a P. Proportional, there we go. It is a proportional equation. We also learned a new phrase this year. It starts with a D. Direct variation. Remember that? Okay, so we use this form, y equals kx, and if we need to find that constant of proportionality, we can do what k equals y over x. Okay, and so this is direct variation. You're going to see that term again here in just a few minutes. All right, how about this one? Graph y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5/2. That's just ugly. That's gross. Why would I do something like this to you? What have you done to deserve this?
Nothing.
That's funny. So, I know that I can always make a table, and sometimes a table's just your best bet. And sometimes you're still going to come out with weird numbers, even if you have a table. But I know if I put numbers in for x, what's the first thing I'm going to have to do to that number?
Divided by 3.
Divided by 3. So what kind of numbers are a good idea to put in for x? Multiples of 3 would be a really good idea to put in for x. So I can do a negative 3, I can do a positive 3, and let's say 6. Okay, this graph is going to be hard to get the 6 on. I think we can do it because 6 for an x is just going to be right off the graph, but I think it'll be okay. So let's do a negative 3. What is negative 1/3 times negative 3? Negative 3.
1.
Positive 1 plus 5 over 2 is really 2.5, right? So what's 1 plus 2.5? 3.5. Okay.
3.5.
So I can graph that. I can graph 1, 2, 3. And I'm sitting so far away I can't see it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.5 is right there. Okay. And then 3, what's 1/3 of 3? Negative 1/3 of 3 would be negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2.5 is 1 1/2. And then negative 1/3 of 6 would be negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2.5 would be 1/2. All right, so there, let's see, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1.5 is right there. 6 1/2 would be right there. So that's going to be our line. That button. Something like that. That's pretty close. Okay. Everybody good? We've been through 2 ways of graphing, or 3 ways of graphing now. We did the x and y intercepts. We graphed by slope-intercept form and counting the slope. We've graphed by making a table. Those are the 3 different ways we have of graphing things. So I worked in one example of each. Good job, Mr. Fish. All right. Find the value of R. So the line that passes through negative 4, 6 and 2 comma R has a slope of negative 2. Huh? What the heck does that even say? Any thoughts on how to attack this one? What formula do we know? Y2 minus Y1.
equals
So Y2 is going to be R minus 6 over X2 minus X1. So that's 2. Is it okay if I write 2 plus 4? Does everybody know why I did that? 2 minus negative 4 would be plus 4, right? Okay. And that equals what? Yes.
R minus 6 divided by 6.
Hold on. I'm not done writing my equation yet. What does it equal? It equals M, but what does it equal? Negative 2. I know what M is.
Negative 2.
M is negative 2. So is it okay if I do this? Negative 2 over 1? Everybody understand that? Okay. Now I have a proportion that I can solve. And we know that cross products of proportions are equivalent. So all I have to do is multiply negative 2 times 2 plus 4. What's 2 plus 4? 6. And what's negative 2 times 6? That would be negative 12.
Negative 12.
And then I need to multiply 1 times R minus 6. So that would be R minus 6. Add 6 to both sides. Negative 6 equals R. Okay? You can write it out a different way if you don't like that way of using proportions. When you have it as R minus 6 over 2 plus 4 equals negative 2. What is 2 plus 4? You can just solve this as an equation. R minus 6 over 6 equals negative 2. Then multiply both sides times 6. So that 6 goes away. You'd have R minus 6 equals negative 12. Add 6 to both sides. So R equals negative 6. Either way works. There's no right way to do it. I feel like this way is a little quicker. But if you don't get it, if you don't see the shortcut, then just do all the steps like that, okay? We good? By the way, there are more questions on this review than there are questions on the test. I worked in extra review examples and talked about some things that I just wanted to go over with you guys that aren't necessarily on the test. But a good bit of it is. Most of it is. If x comma 4 is the solution to the equation 6x minus 2y equals 4, what is the value of x? What do I need to do here? Where'd you get a 0?
Substitute 2 with 4 and substitute y with 4.
Yeah. I know this is a y value, so you put a 4 in for the y value. 6x minus 2 times 4 equals 4. Okay? So all I did was put this 4 into the equation for y. So 6x minus 8 equals 4. Add 8. 6x equals 12. Divide 6, so 6, that's a 6, believe it or not. So x equals 2. Okay? I mean, you guys had to think about it a little bit, but you got there. I think everybody saw what to do. Just all you have to do is substitute. And there's one just like this one on the test. All you got to do is substitute the known value in and solve for the unknown value. Okay? The equation, 9x plus 2y equals 162, represents the number of sacks of widgets x and fizzlers y that can be purchased at a local hardware store. So at the hardware store, you can buy widgets and fizzlers. If 8 widgets are purchased, how many fizzlers can be purchased?
Substitute x with 8.
Yeah, it's the same type of question we just had. It's just asking it in a word problem instead of just setting it up for you. So you've got 8 widgets. Widgets go with x, so put an 8 in for x. 9 times 8 plus 2 times y equals 162. So that'd be 72 plus 2y equals 162. Subtract 72, so 2y equals 90. Y equals 45. So 45 fizzlers. I need 45 fizzlers. Everybody good?
What are fizzlers?
Well, they match up with widgets.
Well, what are widgets?
The other half of a fizzler. I don't know. They're
Are we
just
not
nonsense
paying
words.
attention?
They are nonsense words. They're just, they didn't, I couldn't think of,
Did you rejoin?
I couldn't think of any real things I'd buy at a hardware store, so I just made those up. Last one we'll do this page. Find the slope of the line that passes through the points. So we've already talked about the slope formula. You guys need to have that down. I've worked this in several places in the review. You need to know it. 3 y2 minus y1, so it'd be 3 plus 2 over -1 plus 3. So 3 plus 2 is 5. -1 plus 3 is 2. Is it okay if you end up with a fraction here? Yeah, just up 5 over 2. That's all this slope means, up 5 over 2. Okay? What if I give you a picture and you have to find the slope from a picture? Can you do that? Okay. So here's a dot, here's a dot, here's a, I can't see the dots. There's a dot. All you have to do is count from one dot to the next. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So what's my slope? -2 over 3. This is a negative slope. Make sure that you identify negative slopes and positive slopes. Okay, don't get in a hurry and forget that it's negative, Carter. Okay, so oh, look at that, bell's ringing. Guys, I'll see you tomorrow. We'll finish up the review, and we'll talk a little bit more about the test. Thanks for your good attention today.
Breaking a little work day and tech home.
Hey, Jackson Sullivan.